Thank you and welcome to another episode of Economic Summit. I'm always very excited to be here all the time because I know that each day is moving us towards the realization of our goal, and is to be a wealth creator, is to be a super successful person, and to be at the top of our careers and to be at the summit of our finances. Welcome to another episode of Economic Summit. Let me give you an exciting news. Very soon, we're going to be hosting a whole lot of successful people on this platform. They will be coming to share their experiences, their wealth of experience, what has brought them to this present place. Them, how did they do it? You know, I was in on this line of thought a few minutes before I came on set, and that is we're going to be talking about the rule of wealth, the rule of wealth, and my few interaction with people has shown that a whole lot of people want to be successful. They want to be wealthy. They want to live a life of affluence, but they are not giving it given the process, the successful. The required push. The required push. I don't know what the situation you are in life at the moment. What is your age? What wherever you are at the moment. I believe that you really want to be successful. In fact, when I was getting ready for this uh, episode or this evening, um, I wrote something down in my notes, and that is you mustn't give up on the dream or the person you saw while you were growing up. There was something we all saw at a very tender age, maybe at age 5, at age 7. We all said we're going to be super successful. There are times we'll play games and you'll be asked, what exactly do you want to become? You say, I want to become the president of my country. I want to become a billionaire. I want to be able to give out wealth. Nobody will ever, for some of us who grew up in maybe in the village or, a local setting, we do this game where we ask ourselves, what do you want to become when you grow up? Say you want to become a pilot, you want to become a mechanic, a roadside mechanic, you want to become, whatever, carpenter. And when you don't, if the game, picks you to do to I mean, if you are picked to if you are picked for the wrong what do you call it, for the wrong profession or for the wrong title, you are not excited. Sometimes we say let's have a replay of the game, because at every point in time you want to become a billionaire, you want to become a pilot, you want to become part of the noble professions. Now, the question I was asking myself is, what actually become of those dreams, our childhood dreams of want to travel around the nations of the world? So I know that nobody here listening to me or who will watch this later will be excited to say, I want to remain in my struggles. I want to remain, for some of us, you will be your expectation at this time by this age will be like, oh, you should have, built maybe two, three, four, five number of houses, or you should have been, doing this, not struggling at this moment. Let me tell you, life is not designed for struggles. Life is not designed for struggles. When you become successful, when you achieve your goals, when you achieve that dream in your heart, there is something in you that love it. There is something in you, the you in you. Let me use that word. The inner you appreciate when your socks. I remember speaking to a friend a long time ago. I think he finished his what do you call it? His professional exam, his accounting professional exams, and when he was done with his masters, and then he saw his result, and it was a fantastic one. He said, I am liking myself. He used that word. I'm liking myself. I'm enjoying the way I'm living my life. You see, nobody wants to be at the cadre of life. I mean, at the lowest cadre of life, permit me. No one wants to be at the lowest cadre of life. We all want to be at success. We all want to achieve the dreams of our hearts. So it's a challenge I'm throwing again to everyone tonight, that you should not give up on your childhood dream. That dream that says that you want to travel the nations of the world, you want to be able to give out, you want to be able to build hospitals, you want to be able to build libraries for young people, you want to be, a whole lot of things that you have desired that you want to do. Make sure you don't give up on those things. And that is the reason why we come here every Thursday, to say that we understand that there was a dream in your heart. We understand that there were things you have said growing up that you want to become. I'm sure you would. Well, for some of us, maybe you're just patching life, you're just living by and by. When you earn your salary, 2 weeks into the month, the salary is nowhere to be found. And then you just begin to tell yourself, this is not the life you actually, saw, growing up. So what am I trying to say is this: I am charging you up today that you can become the you saw growing up. You can become that person you saw in your dream. It is important to note that you can't continue life struggling. This is part of the things in my note. I just felt I should start this charge this night, just to ensure that somebody out there who is losing it, somebody out there who is saying, okay, all I want to do is just to remain, just manage it. You meet someone who says, by the age of 30, I ought to have traveled to about 5 nations. By the age of 35, I ought to have done this and done this and done that. But they just get to a point in life when, life happens. Just like we said, life happens to them here and there. And you just discover that everything they have, desired to do, every vision, every dream, they just trash it and say, let's just exist. Let's just, the way some others will do it is, okay, if I can't win, I'll make my children win. So at that point, you are 30, you are 32, you give birth to a child, and you watch your child grow, become successful, and you abandon what dream you had. So I am throwing that challenge to you. If you are a young person watching me, if you are the middle age watching me, don't ever give up. I'm always very quick to use the example of the guy as Colonel Sanders, the man who founded what do you call it, KFC. He said he was rejected over 1,000 times. He was rejected over 1,000 times, and at the age of 60, 63, he found his bearing. And today the world still celebrates it. So I don't know what age you are. I don't know what exactly you think you have, how many times you have tried. Of course, like I said, Colonel Sanders tried, and he was rejected 1,000 times. He was told that his what do you call it now? His chicken wasn't looking well, but he never gave up. At a point, he was serving people by the roadside in the United States. And today, look at what the result of his persistence, his perseverance. So I'm encouraging you today. It doesn't count. You're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50. So long you have not even passed Colonel Sanders at 60. But even if you have, be that example of someone who persevere, who still pursue their dream at the age of 70, at the age of 72. That is the reason for Economic Summit. We want you to have, never give up spirit. That spirit that says, despite all that has happened around me, I still want to pursue that dream. I still want to make, I still want to leave the world a better place than I met it. That's the dream. So don't give up on your childhood dream. Don't give up. You can revisit the dream again. You can revisit the dream again. I want to become a billionaire. I want to be able to build 1,000 schools for the average of 500 in each school. That is 500,000 schools in 10 nations, to be able to make sure that I take children out of the street. Don't give up on that dream yet. When we were young, there were so many things we thought possible. There were so many things we felt, at the age of 20, there were certain people you saw and you said, why is this not getting the result it's supposed to get? But life begins to happen to you. You humorously, I read something online a few days ago. I think on Instagram, to be precise, quoting from the Bible. I think it's Romans 8:31. If God be for us, who can be against us? That question is left open in the Bible. But somebody responded and said, government can be against you. That if God is for us, who can be against? Somebody said the government of his nation or a nation can be against them. So now what am I trying to say in essence is this: you have plenty of plans. You thought life would be so easy, like waking up and sleeping, because at that time, mom and dad were responsible for everything. You needed biscuit, they gave you. You needed to buy shoe, they took you to the best of stores and what have you. But as you begin to, as you be, as you began to become independent, you now began, you began to see that, oh wow, these things don't really go like this. But let me tell you, you are the size of that thing that is happening to you. You are the size, you can overcome it. And your childhood dream, don't throw them out. Make sure, for instance, you can sit down again to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are the things I said I want to do. That when my child is 10, I'll be able to fly him for an holiday. When I'm 20, when I'm 30, these are the things I want to achieve. Don't give up on those dreams. Don't give up on those dreams. It's important for you to know that the world still needs your ideas. We have asked these questions time and again. Imagine the world without a Larry Page and a Sergey Brin, who came up with a Google concept and say, okay, the before Google arrived, the way we search for things is that you have to call a friend, to ask a friend, call a brother, call a neighbor to say, who is the first president of the United States, who is the 13th president of the United States, how much is so and so worth. But with just your keyboard connected and your tab or laptop connected, you know that information. In fact, someone has said a time, humorously permit me, says that if you ask God a question and God seems not to be answering you, ask Google. It has, that they've been able to provide solution to such a point that they say, oh, they have answers for everything. And Larry Page and Sergey Brin, the founders of Google, the creator of Google, just sat down one day and felt they want to make a difference. And that is what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. You see, I think it was a few days ago I was thinking about my slide, please. It was a few days ago I was thinking about what do you call it? The problems that we're encountering in our nations. And then when you what do you call it, when you live in a nation where you have problems and here and there, you will find out that when you live in a nation, good, when you live in a nation where there seems to be lot of problems, a lot of people want to give up at that time. But let me tell you this: the truth is this. Problems are the reason why we are wealthy. Problems are the reason why we are wealthy. Yes. Ah, every day we wake up with needs. Every day. So when you I listened to Dr. Miles Moore a long time, who was addressing us in a conference that I attended, way back. And he said, if your nation, for instance, Nigeria, is facing a leadership problem, that he would expect that one of us will go and begin to look for ways to solve this leadership problem. Is it that from secondary school or the higher institution, he will start teaching people how to become leaders? Because the so-called leaders, political leaders, of leaders in government offices, are actually from the society, are actually from our schools, are actually from the universities. He said, could you not just go and put up a program where you begin to teach, on a mass scale, leadership, how people can, become right leaders? So we're going to be looking at the rule of wealth tonight. And I want you to know that the rules of wealth, I want you to know that life is governed by rules. Life is controlled by laws. Life is controlled by laws. Life is governed by rules. Everything on the earth is governed by laws. And one of the good things about laws and rules is that they make life predictable. Laws make life predictable. It is we have several laws, whether in the field of accounting, in the field of science, and what have you. As we get into our schools, growing up, just like I don't know why I kept going back to growing up. You get to your primary school, and you want to be being taught, what do you call it now, arithmetic or additions. You are told tens and units, that when you add 2 and 5 and 6 and 7, there are laws that guide them. When you see this sign, which is called plus sign, when you see this dash sign, is called minus. When you see this, it's called division. So there are laws that guide it. When 7 is when a sign, plus sign, is put within 7 and 3, it makes 10. When minus is put in the between 7 and 3, it becomes 4. Those are laws. When you have a child and you write 7 minus 3 and you write something like 2, you flog that child. You are not well taught, because life is governed by laws. So life is governed by rules, and it's the same thing with wealth. See, the mindset that people have about wealth is a major problem why they've not been able to achieve this. At a very young age, I understood this. That as good as it's good to follow God, you must also understand the principles about following God. It was Mike Murdoch, one of the televangelists in the United States, that taught that. He said there is the laws of God, there is the person of God. He said there is the king and there is the kingdom. One is a person, one is a principle. So there are laws that make life predictable. Laws make life predictable. Of course, we saw in our physics the law of motion. There are 3 laws, at least at the elementary level, which says that everything continues in state of rest, or what do you call it, continuous motion, until a force is applied. And we'll be told what the force is equals to mass times acceleration. Laws make life predictable. In the field of accounting, you'll be taught double entry. To every debit entry, there should be a corresponding credit entry. So laws make life predictable. You'll be able to say, okay, if you have 2, 3, 4 children, and you say, okay, your exam is approaching the next 3 weeks, one is always seated, reading, very industrious, dutiful, and make sure that every 3, 4, 5 hours that he has is always reading and what have you. And you have the other one who is always jumping from here and there. You force him to read. When their result comes, if the one that is jumping everywhere has a good result, you will be shocked. When the one who has always been who reads and did and I mean doesn't come out with a good result, you will also be shocked, because you are expecting that the one who sits to read, will come out well, will come out in flying color the way we say it. And if the one who never reads come out poorly, you will not be surprised. You say, well, I said it, because we already have an understanding of laws. If you have somebody, in a two, three, four-story building and it jumps, all will be expecting that another 1, 2 minutes we should, get a sound. And the person is suspended in the air. You'll be like, what's this? How did you do it? Because on our minds, there are laws that guide everything. If I am seated like this and somebody come and, just give a slap, we all know that he is expecting a reaction. Remember the story of Nelson Mandela, the first black president in South Africa, who was in prison for 27 years, and he came out to become the first black, South African president. And a lot of people expected that the people who jailed him, the things they did, because he now had power, he was supposed to, deal with everyone. But he said he forgave everybody. I forgive all of you. And until tomorrow is still, being said, oh, there is no president like him, because of that attitude. Because it is expected that when people pay you in this coin, you want to pay them in the other coin. So what am I trying to say in essence? Laws make life predictable. And there are laws of wealth. There are rules of wealth. And that is what we want to consider tonight. So don't forget, there are rules of wealth. And we're going to be looking at it this week and next, because a whole lot is to be talked about here. And then I'm happy I've mentioned that. If you're just joining, I want to say it again. Don't give up on your childhood dreams. Don't give up on your childhood dreams. Those things you have said that you are going to become, those areas that you mentioned that when I am 30, I will have accomplished this. When I'm 40, I will have been this. When I'm 50, I want to retire with ₦1 billion, with $1 billion. And if you and the dream, and are like west and east and west, and you are not close to it at all, I want to say, don't give up. You become a failure when you give up. I want to start by saying there are 10 things that most people seems to want to spend their money on. I want to talk about wealth tonight. And as I get ready, and in my course of research, I said, okay, there are a few things. Why do you want to, what are the things that people spend money on? And why do you want to become wealthy? There are reasons why people want to become wealthy. Of course, number one, it could be security. You can have the list, put on the slide there. You see, number one, people want to become wealthy, maybe for security, a home of your own, and enough money in the bank to support you in all you want to do. That's a bit of security. If you have a house of your own where you're not paying, rent again, that's a bit of security. And you check your bank account and it's reading some 7, 8 zeros, figures. That's a bit of security. People want to spend money on security. People want to have a bit of money in hand for emergencies. And that again is people want, to have money for comforts. Of course, the reason why we're talking about this, these are few of the many things, 10 of those many things that, of course, me personally, of course, I want I want to be wealthy for security, for comfort. A warm and spacious house, a big car, someone to clean or mow your lawns, to do your laundry, where, you don't get to worry about few things, for comfort, and good quality medical care wherever you want it. So comfort, at least you have your meal at as when you have it. That is not that when you eat your breakfast, or you take your breakfast, permit me, and you don't even know where the next meal will come from. Nobody wants to live a life like that. Of course, people want to be wealthy to be able to take care of this. Like I put security first of all. The reason why we want to have what we want to have, what we want to be wealthy, is essentially security. And security isn't that you have a gated house or something. Of course, that's part of it. Security is that, oh, your baby is sick, you'll be able to, afford certain things for comfort. Buy those what do you call it, things that you can afford. Your laundry is done. What do you call it? Your lawn is mown. You have servant here and there that can get things for you. And on that, the number three is luxury. Oh yes, sometimes we want those luxuries. You want to buy those branded wristwatch. You want to buy those branded shoes. At once in a while, you want, because sometimes when you watch the movies, when you watch the movies and you see those, you know, fantastic homes, or you call it palaces or palacious buildings, and you're like, oh, we want those things. Want luxuries, exotic holidays, want fine wine, want fine meals in top restaurants, expensive clothes, the best seat at sport. Of course, it is not everybody who want this. So if you don't want it, and I speak, you just say pass. Of course, but some want that. You want to be able to afford those things. Yeah, yes, for mobility. For mobility, you want to be able to say, okay, I want to get to Paris tomorrow. I want to get to Europe the next day, or UK or whatever, and straight you're in your flight. It's not that you have to save for 7 months, 1 year, or 18 months before you can afford a flight ticket, economy for that matter. No, people want to have money for mobility, and then another is for prestige, for status. You know, access to important people. There are certain amount of money you have, and you can say, okay, can I have a lunch with the governor of my state? Can I have a meeting with the chairman of my local government? Yes, there are certain amount of money you have, and you are not afraid to call some people, because at the end of the day, what exactly do you want? So you want money for those things, for exclusive clubs, and perhaps even gratifying some things. So you want this for status. Oh yes, yes. Another is influence. As a generous donor, substantial sum, being able to make sure that your views and wishes are listened to and taken seriously. Oh yes, I know that for sure. There are certain, even it's even a proverb in where I come from. That when a poor man, talks, people will say, what does he say? But when a wealthy person says, you say, oh, he's making sense. Even the what do you call it now? Even the joke, the empty joke of a wealthy man, everybody just open their teeth and laugh at it. Tak, tak, tak. If a poor man, says something as funny as it should be, everybody just, because that's how it is. That's how we find out. That's the way the world is. So the next is freedom. Yes, we want to spend money on freedom, so that you are not answerable to any employer. You know, you are not being bossed around. You want to wake up and sleep anytime you want. Say maybe 3 a.m. you are still up by. You don't want to wake up again 5 o'clock to say you are rushing the next bus or what have you. You know, so it's important to know this. Not being a slave to your calendar, not being a slave to your diary or your clock. Knowing you won't have to be a burden to anybody. Oh, yes, we do. Nobody want that. Freedom to be able to do whatever it is you want to do. You know, wealth is good, money is good, and that's why we're here on Thursdays, just to give somebody that's cheering up. You don't have to struggle all your life. That all you have, if you check your account, is just enough to. It's not even enough to pay your rent. You still need one person or the other to add 1 naira to, or 2 naira to, whatever it is, or one, 1,000 pounds or whatever. So these are the reasons. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we're coming here, just so you can get fired up from here. We talk about leisure, popularity, and maybe the last is philanthropy. Being able to say, okay, I want to donate so and so into this cause. I want to be able to do like 10 schools every year for the next 10 years, I have 100 schools where I want to think about 1,000. Yeah, I mean, out of school children from the street. If you do that every year, if you do 10 schools, 100 pupil or student on the average, that's about 1,000. By the time you do 10 years, it's 10,000. I can tell you that the 10,000 you have brought out of the what do you call it, of the streets, you have contributed massively. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the story of, is it Alexander Fleming, the guy who discovered what's that drugs now? You know, trying to remember it now. Alexander Fleming. He was actually the son of a peasant farmer, but he was this. I think he enjoyed the scholarship by Churchill Winston. You know, so there are several young persons who will have just been roaming the streets, if not for the philanthropic mind of an average wealthy person. I remember this footballer, what's his name now, that died in Turkey earthquake a few weeks ago. Once, what do you call it, social media influencer came out and said the guy paid his way through the university in his university days. These are the things people spend money on. Now we'll be looking at thinking wealthy tonight. Thinking wealthy. So we're going to be looking at 10 rules of wealth tonight under thinking wealthy, because we're going to be looking at a whole lot, thinking wealthy, sustaining wealth, and what have you. But tonight we're looking at thinking wealthy, and we're looking at 10 rules. 10 rules. If you follow this, you see, the beautiful thing about what we're doing, and I was having this conversation with myself, and I said, some people were like, what are they coming here to do every Thursday, just to? But I tell you, even if it's just a little bit, one, two, three lines of what we say here that you choose to say you want to work on, I can tell you that you'll become a better version of yourself. Oh, yes, I know. You'll become a better version of yourself. So, the rule number one: anybody can be wealthy. Anybody. I want to say it again if I can scream it. Anybody can be wealthy. Anybody can be wealthy. All you need to do is just apply yourself. You just have to apply yourself. Now, let me say this and say it again. You can be wealthy. You have the same rights, you have the same opportunity as everyone else to take as much as you want. You have the same rights, you have the same opportunities as everyone else to take as much as you want. I was reading about a young guy, on social media a few days ago, and the news about him was, I just bought his own house, and it wasn't long, about less than a year, that this what do you call it now? This young uh, guy came to limelight, and then I learned he just bought, his own house and what have you. So what I'm trying to bring up from here is that money does not discriminate. Money does not discriminate. You can be as wealthy as you want. That was the reason, because I know I'm going to be talking about this, all those things. That was the reason I started by saying that your childhood's dream, don't throw them off. Don't throw them off. Anybody can be wealthy, including you. All you need to do is just apply yourself. You have the same right, you have the same opportunities as everyone else to take as much as you want, to take as much as you want. Yeah. So it is important for you to know this. Money does not discriminate. It doesn't care what color or race you are, what class you are, what your parent did, or even what you think you are. See, the beautiful thing is this: every day is just a new slate. Every day is just present us with new opportunity. Every day present us with new opportunity. No matter what you've done wrong yesterday, no matter what you've done wrong in the last 40 years, now that you're listening to me, you can begin a new, you can create a new opportunity for yourself. And the truth is this: the world is just waiting for you to do the right thing. Ah, there are solutions that the world wants. There are solutions. There are what's the word? There are problems that are around now that the world is just waiting for the person who can solve it. Before now, we didn't know that we had the problem of social interactions. Mark Zuckerberg said all he wanted to do was just to what's the word? To bring everybody together. Sometimes you would not even believe that you have not seen some people for a year or two. I got a call from someone very close to me today, and this is the third month of the year. We've not seen your face. Can we see your? Sometimes because you of phone calls, because of social media, because of WhatsApp status, you see them like every day. You think, in fact, there was a guy that I was opportune to meet. I think some couple of years, maybe 2 years or 3 years ago, and when we were talking, we found out that we've not seen in like maybe 9 or 8 years. And the funniest thing is that when it was the catching up moment, we discovered that we know a whole lot about ourselves, because by the virtue of what we post on social media, we were actually, keeping abreast of of things happening around us. So that was what somebody thought of. You can. When Larry Page and Sergey Brin created, what do you call it now? Google. There were the Exile.com, the Alta Vista, and what have you. But the truth is, if you wake up, just like what GPT is doing now, the world is just waiting for you to make life easier for us. So, get to know that each and every day start with a clean slate. So that no matter what you did yesterday, today begins anew, and you have the right and opportunities as everyone. The successful person, the wealthy person, they are the one who have taken the chunk of what they needed and left the rest. So the only thing that can stand as an hindrance is you yourself, nobody else. Nobody else. Of the wealth of the world, each has as much as they can take. Of all the wealth in the world, you can take as much as you want. More often than not, we believe that the poor are poor because of their background, because of their circumstances, because of their upbringing, because of their environment. Oh yes, but the truth is this: the same circumstances that you are surrounded with, the same environment that you are, the same nature, the same issue that you have, someone had the same and they've been able to overcome it. A friend of mine sent me a video today of a man who did not have, who doesn't, permit me, who doesn't have his 10 fingers, and he plays the bassist. And he was saying that he's been on stage with Don Moen and the best, the global, what do you call it, singers in the world or artists in the world. No fingers. In fact, he said something that really, struck a chord. He said something that I just believe that, that I cannot, I can't do it. That's the mindset. I just believe I can get it done. That's the way I live my life. I don't believe there's any height anyone has attained that I cannot get to. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. Color, race, whatever. There's no height. So when I talk about becoming a billionaire, it's not a fad. It's not to make you feel I can talk. No. I'm on the path. And distant time, I tell you, trust me. Oh, you might say, oh, you have been saying that in the last 10 years. Yes, I won't be the first one to be saying it like this. So, what am I trying to say in essence is this: you are the only one who can stand as a barrier to yourself. The guy said he was just watching, what do you call it, a trainer training a girl on how to play a bass guitar. And he was, somebody without fingers, 10 fingers, said he was a drummer. And he just felt he could do the exact thing that lady was doing. And after they were done, he picked the bass guitar and he started playing, and everybody was like, "Who is doing that thing?" He said, I'm not handicapped. It has never occurred to me that I'm an handicap. So don't ever sign yourself off, permit me, and say wealth is not for you. You have the power to be wealthy. It may be hard, no doubt. It may be tough, but it's doable. It may be hard, no doubt. It may be tough, but it's doable. Anyone can be wealthy. It doesn't matter where. We have shown it on this platform, where we see people who have been written off, and by sheer determination, by unusual faith in themselves, they are celebrated globally now. So, rule number one: you can be wealthy. Anybody can be wealthy. You just have the same rights, you have the same opportunities as everyone to take as much as you want. Now, I said this, that we always assume that the reason why some certain people are poor is because of circumstances, is because of their background, is because of their upbringing. If my father were to be so and so, my father were to be this wealthy, I would not be here. Yes, but I want you to know the same circumstances, your background, your upbringing, the nature, your environment. There are people in that same environment. Of course, when we talk about the United States, today, or the developed nations, we believe that if you don't get there, you won't become as successful as you want. And then it will shock you that the social media, of course, the internet is such a good place now, where you see that there are poor people in those fantastic nations. In fact, I watched a guy, what's that his name? He will specifically ask, I'm sorry, I want to be personal, how long have you been homeless? Because there are people who have been on the street. Sometimes some of them have been homeless for 20 years in that same nation where people call the land of opportunities. I've told you of the founder of Zoom here, Eric Yuan, who left United States without, he wasn't able to even speak right English. But today he's a billionaire in dollars and he's a citizen of that nation. And there are some who have been living in that place before that guy got there. They've been living on the street and they are still there. All they want is just an handout from someone, and they are cool with it. But the day you make a resolution that I can be wealthy, I can be wealthy, don't look down on yourself. Your circumstances permit me, your environment, your educational qualification, your whatever background, not immaterial. I read about this. What's the name? Oh, this blind girl who met about 9 American presidents. Ellen Keller. Ellen Keller. Kela was born like every normal child, but at the age of, I think, 19 months, she had a scarlet fever that affected her eyes, and she became blind. But she turned her limitations into something that we celebrate today. She said it is worse to have sight without vision, and you know how many people have their sight without vision. So rule number one: you can become wealthy. When I say anybody, I mean you. I mean you. Number two, rule number two is to decide on your definition of wealth. Is to define your definition of wealth, because if you don't have a definition, how can you monitor or judge your success? Oh, yes, this is personal. Your definition of wealth. My definition of wealth might be until I'm by asset, by cash or whatever, I'm worth $1 billion. Oh, that might be me. Other person might say just to have money enough that whenever any emergencies, I want to travel out of the country, my children get admission into Harvard, into the Ivy League university, I should be able to pay without calling anybody. That might be the definition of wealth for someone. Being sound health, someone might just, fame might even be the definition of wealth for someone. If I'm just famous, that when I speak, everybody claps, that might be the definition of wealth. If you know Dwayne Rock Johnson, The Rock, when that guy just poses like this, the next 1 hour you see 3 million views. I'm like, what is this? So that might be someone's definition of wealth. Dwayne Rock Johnson, when it comes to WWE, people scream and make a whole lot of noise. And when you hear the guy's story too, there was a time he was living in the car, was homeless. I talk about those people so that you mustn't live in struggle. You just struggle to eat, struggle to pay rent, struggle to get transport. You can't continue living life like that. We're gonna get there when we're gonna sit to talk to ourselves about these things. You can't continue to say life must be. The truth of the matter is, as the world might be facing loads and loads of things, some people are not really affected. Not at all. As much as they want to talk about it, this, but they've been able to, overcome those things. They've been able to get to a level of status where it's they're not affected. So I said, decide on your definition of wealth. What exactly is wealth to you? Millions or billions in the bank, assets or portfolio of investment in blue chips companies? That might be your own definition of wealth. Real estate, fame, not worrying about money. Also, you must get to know what is the definition of wealth for you. Because when you don't define what wealth is, how do you want to aim at it? How do you want to? So, what's your definition of wealth? To have real estate across nations, to have, portfolio of investment, to have, what do you call it, stocks in blue chip companies, Apple, Microsoft, Dell, and what have you. That might be your own definition of wealth. The definition of wealth for someone might just be just have one house. That's it depends now on personal. Of course, I read the material that the guy became so his definition of wealth might be warped. I don't want to talk about that. So what am I trying to say in essence is, what is your definition of wealth? You can just put it down, because the truth is this: you can't continue in that struggle. You can't continue in that financial inadequacies. Cannot continue in it. So define your wealth. It's important to say, okay, this is the definition of wealth for me. That to have millions of dollars, to have 100 estates, to have these and these investments here and there across the nations of the world. That's my definition of wealth. Yes, you must have a definition of wealth. You must know exactly what is wealth to you. That is the rule of wealth. Number three is to set your objectives. Now that you know what exactly is rich, being rich is, how do you intend getting there and how long you expect it to take? Fantastic. Set objectives. When you have goals, the next thing is to have set objectives. How do you want to arrive there? How do you want to arrive there? Maybe your objective might be, for instance, that by the age of 40, I want to be a billionaire in dollars. I want to be a millionaire in dollars. And you now begin to say, okay, sorry, your goals. You now say, I want to set this plan. For instance, you want to go to a place and you say, this is a time that I want to get there. This is how I want to get there. This is the route that will take me there. And when I get there, what exactly will I be doing? So you must know when you already have an idea of what wealth is to you, then you have to set an objectives. Setting objectives is saying, okay, you already have a destination by saying this is your definition of wealth. Then setting a timetable are your objectives. Setting your objective is establishing a timetable to reach that destination. Setting the timetable will be that objectives. Okay, I say $1 billion, $1 million, $100,000 is my destination, is my definition of wealth. How do I want to get there? To start a business, to work, to have this and this and this certification. For instance, there are certain certifications that you might choose to, write today or have today, that you get to certain companies and they can pay you as much as $1 million, permit me, in a year. Well, it depends on your years of experience and what have you. Of course, I've not seen anyway, but of course I know them in their hundreds of $1,000s. If that is your definition, oh yes, you can set that objective. That in 6 months' time, I will have what do you call it, certification. I remember, listening to a lady few months ago who said she got Amazon Web Service (AWS) certifications, in 6 months. Three of them. So you can set such objectives. This is how I want to become what I want to become. Set time to say, okay, I'm 40 today. In the next 5 years, I want to become a millionaire in dollars. That is whatever country you are. This is what it means. Then you now have plans. Okay, I will have to open the first company. This is what we want to do. We want to sell real estate. Then in 3 years after, we want to go into the oil and gas. The fourth year, this is we want to go into so and so. Then the fifth year, this is what we want to consolidate on. Then that is how to set those objectives. It's important. Let me say this. That a whole of the time, people just have balloon dreams. They just want, if you ask them, oh, just like I mentioned, our childhood dreams, I want to become a pilot, I want to fly, and they don't even have plans, no objectives on how to achieve this. So it's important that you know this. If you know that, okay, this is my definition of wealth, then you now begin to set plans on how to become this. Okay, I'll start my first company in this so and so industry. Then, just like I've mentioned, a couple of industry where people are doing outstandingly well. Of course, when you check Forbes will tell you there are three major places where people are, making tons of money: the IT, the finance, and food industry. Three major industries where Forbes, and of course, people have said you will not get it wrong there. So you can say, when I'm 30, I will start, you know, uh, I will start a business or a company around, real estate, or you want to start a company around this. I told you of Liquid Death. The guy came, started, just came up with a different concept. All waters have been bottled. I want to can my water. And he did that. In few years. That company rose to eating almost $1 billion as a company. Someone came up and said, okay, all I want to do is to change the concept of footwear. And in less than 10 years, he was there talking about $600 million as a company. So you must set objective. The other is the next rule. The next rule is, keep it under your heart. Keep it under your heart. Keep this under your heart. When you have set your objectives, when you have a vision of your wealth, don't go. You're not even expected to say it to everybody. Yes, you don't keep it under your heart. It's important for you to keep certain secrets, because the truth of the matter is, other people's opinion can often be negative, and this can put you off. This can even kill your dream. Yes, we've seen it. We only celebrate the people who, despite negative opinion, despite people's sarcastic view of their what do you call it, of their dream, you know, pessimistic what's it called, view or comments, they still went ahead and fulfilled their dream and become successful. There are lots and lots and lots more than the story we share of people whose idea have just been trashed, have just been talked down by someone. And by that singular opinion, the person who had high dreams, high hope of saying, I'm going to touch the ends of the earth with my idea, just trash it by that singular, comments. So sometimes it's best, whatever you are cooking, make sure the aroma doesn't get to your neighbor. Just keep it under your heart. And sometimes things that you keep secret things that you keep secret have a way of making you feel good about this. You know. So that's rule of wealth. That's rule of wealth. There are certain people you shouldn't discuss your ideas with. I've told us, I think, in one of my old videos, of a young man in Nigeria who is into real estate. And he was having a conversation with one of the government officials about his dream. And then while they were talking, the guy said, "You are too ambitious. Why are you want to build the so and so scrapers in Nigeria and what have you? Go and rest." The guy was opportune to, travel to Dubai and met one of the top real estate guys there. And when he showed him his plan, the man told him these dreams are too small. Same dream, different opinions, because of the people he shared with. If that young man doesn't have the privilege of meeting a person who told him that your dreams are small, that singular person might kill that dream. There are certain things you want to do in life. You come up with the idea. The moment you share with someone, because of their own small mind, they kill it. Somebody said the easiest way to kill a big dream is to discuss with a small mind. They will help you shrink it to that size. you know so of course, a lot of investors, a lot of what do you call them now, creators, a lot of inventors, that's the word, a lot of inventors, when they had a dream of creating things, they were told it was impossible. They were told their ideas were too lofty. They were told they were crazy. But it takes being crazy to do certain things, you know so you must get to understand this, that it's nice having a secret. It gives you a warm and glowing feeling. It's nice to have a secret. Yes, there are certain things you're working on. It's not that you shouldn't get people's opinion, but please be so what's the word now? Be careful who you share those dreams with. There are people who just look at you and with their small mind they crush that dream, and that's the end of that dream. The next is the rule number 5. Most people are too lazy to be wealthy. Hmm. Most people are too lazy to be wealthy. Most people are too lazy to be wealthy. A lot of people want to be rich. They say it, but their attitude is the opposite. Their attitude is the opposite. I've read about wealthy and successful people, and I found that people become successful in different areas. Different areas. Sometimes those areas look so stupid. How could you? You just can't put water in the oversaturated industry. The guy came in, and canned water, and in few years was up there, you know. But I've seen a common trait. What's the trait? Whether it is in Bill Gates or Larry Page or whatever, they work harder than everyone else. What an average person would take a month to get, they would take a day to achieve them. Most people are too lazy to be wealthy. See, when I was thinking about this point, especially, permit me, I'm a Christian, and I thought about a lot of Christians. Our concept of God is very wrong because the understanding a lot of people have about wealth, about success, is that it's God that gives it. Hope I'm not busting your bubbles. It's God that gives wealth. God gives power for wealth. God doesn't give wealth. If God is the one who gives wealth, then God will be very partial. He's giving some people so much and he's giving some people nothing. Our concept of wealth, our concept of success is so warped that people will just want to, touch one, two things and they expect that God should feel the rest. When things are not working, then people begin to abuse God. So, most people are too lazy to be wealthy. You have to get up early, work hard all day, and go to bed, still working on your objective. Elon Musk was the one who said we have to work harder than everyone else. Work harder than everybody, whether whatever industry they are from. They tell you about work ethics. They tell you about working more than everyone else. Most people don't want to do the work yet. They want the money, but only if it comes to them by accident or by luck or by chance. Yes, that's the mentality of an average person. And it's very dangerous to live like that. And when you already have such mindset, it's very dangerous. When you have such mindset that money is just a question of luck, a question of accident, a question of chance, you will be so lazy to put in your best. That's rule number 5. A lot are too lazy to be wealthy. They want to wake up anytime, they want to sleep anytime, and they just want God to fill in the rest. No, no, no. In fact, that I got a point in my life. I was reading a lot of books, successful material, I mean, books. What do you call it now? Books on successful people. And at the point, I just began to question it on all these materials. I read the Google story. I read a book by Donald Trump, how he became a billionaire, and what have you. Series and series of materials. I just all of a sudden said, these guys don't write anywhere where they pray. They don't write anywhere where they don't put the God factor there. Of course, not that the God factor is not there. I've listened to a couple of them. The God factor is there, but a lot of the times, people are too lazy to be wealthy. All they want to do is to what do you call it now? Is to expect that the wealth that we're talking, the kind of wealth we're talking about, is not the one that comes by accident. It's not the one that comes by luck. And the truth is, this wealth is just lying around. It's just for you to plug in by way of hard work. Get to meet people who are up there. They tell sometimes they walk into the night, they are up before everybody. I read a book by what's the name? What's the name of this guy who wrote Ten Commandments of Money by Aliko Dangote. He said, as but sometimes 1 a.m. Aliko Dangote is as fresh as if he's just waking up, and then he will be dozing. He will go to bed. Something Mandozi or something. I can't remember the name of the guy. By the time he goes to bed, 1 a.m., Aliko Dangote is still having meetings. By the morning, the guy is already up, ready for his 5 a.m. Workout or what have you. He's still snoring and what have you. So, a lot of people are totally lazy to be wealthy. The next is get a reality check. Get a reality check. Nothing is going to change unless you do nothing. The reality check is sit down and think constructively about what you can do to increase your wealth. Where exactly am I missing it? Have I carried the concept of luck to become wealthy such that the pattern of my life is still the same? I wake up same time, I do the same thing that I've been doing over the years, and expecting that a manna should just fall on my laps. Oh no, it won't work like that. Get to know where the problems are. Be realistic. Know that you are not doing well in this area. Like I read in a book sometime, it said, get money mentors, get financial mentors, get people who will knock all your ideologies off, all your money myths, all your success myths that, let them knock it off for you. Get to have what is called reality check. Look at those problems in the eye and say, I am stupid in this area. I've not been doing well in this area. If you want to be successful, if you want to be wealthy, you have to have that courage to say these areas, I'm still very stupid there. The next is number seven. Rule number seven: understand your money beliefs and where they come from. These are the myths of money. Understand your money beliefs and where they come from. You see, I'm going to talk about this, but let me quickly say this: that there is the wrong perspective of everything about life that we all carry from our parents, from the environment, you know, until that is trashed, until that meets wrong perception, wrong perspective about life is trashed, you will go nowhere. They can limit your productivity, they can limit your wealth, they can limit your results. So understand your money beliefs. Where did you get, there are several things we have about money beliefs. Money is the root of all evil. Money is dirty. I don't deserve to be rich. Money is only made by the greedy and dishonest. Now, let me just quickly say two things before we go on. I remember that we have this adage in our place, while we're growing up. When you can't achieve the kind of success you see people achieve, you will just say the what is under there is skeleton in the people's cupboard. In fact, there's a way we put it in my dialect that the what is under wealth is smelly, is stinking, is sketchy. That's the word. We say sale or legbin, the way you say now that be careful. I remember I was having a conversation with someone, I think we're in a group, and they was say, all the senators in Nigeria are thieves, all the House of Reps, they are crooks, all government officials are crooks. Now, the truth of the matter is, if you hold that belief, if you hold that concept, then it means if you want to get there, you have to be a crook. If you want your son to be there, you have to train him or teach him how to be a crook. So there are several beliefs we have held about money that we must trash. Some people don't believe that they can be successful, they can be super wealthy, that the so-called billionaires are just for the Bill Gates and the rest of them. I remember growing up too. Of course, I grew up from a poor home. And then those days you hear that thieves or armed robbers have gone to the next compound or 2 houses away from you. I remember that when I was growing up, there's this banker man who had this white Passat, very good looking man. When he comes out of his Passat, he was always looking very fresh. Look at his skin. I always admire him as a very young person. I can't remember the name of the bank he was working. Not long after, assassin came and killed him. I was there. When he was killed the next day, I got to the house. I saw, where he was dragged on the floor, the blood and all of this. As a young person then, see, I won't be rich so that I will not be thief will not kill me. Now imagine if that day nobody was there, I internalize it. That can control my life. It can control my journey for the rest of my life. If it find a seat in my subconscious, no matter what I do, that thing will just be pulling me down, pulling me back. Those days, I remember funny things. We're so poor that those days when for some of us who are around, when thieves or armed robbers, they're not really armed robbers or those petty thieves, when they get into a house, the next morning, the first thing they will ask is, I hope they did not steal your VHS video, those video player. They were so they were the luxury thing there. Oh, they stole our video. So video player, VHS. My God. And then what's our business with it? TV service by force. And we now talk about VHS player. So then I was always very excited that we're not rich. So no thief will come. At least you have peace. When you don't have money, you thief will leave, will not disturb you. Because we're so poor that they don't even think of our house. So imagine if one live with such mentality. I remember when I was to write my what's it called first certificate exam CCNA. Then I went to buy computer. The first desktop, big one, fairly used though. I just put it at the corner of our room and follow them. I remember my kid brother there. Maybe we are rich people. So at his young age, he had internalized that we were poor. But because we were able to get a desktop computer, he said, the way he said in Yoruba, "Chibolo Oniwa, we are rich people now." So if you now live with such belief, you just grow up and you will find out to be that myth has kept you down. I don't deserve to be rich. It's okay to be poor. Those stupid mentality. But you have to get rid of those things and tell yourself to be super wealthy is okay. To be super wealthy. Tell yourself that, just like Jeff Bezos said when he discovered the internet, that the internet was growing at 2,500%. And he was told not to try it. He said, no, when I'm 80 and I don't try this internet thing, it will be the biggest regret of my life. Tell yourself that when you are 80 and you are not poor, and you are still poor, and you have not, you are not a billionaire yet, then you have not really lived life. I have said the definition of you must take the definition. If you don't achieve that thing you have said that you're going to be super wealthy, then tell yourself you are going to be doing the world a disservice. Because with your money you can do so much. Just like I said now, there are several children on the street. Several children on the street. I remember somebody talking to me and said that he went out in the morning and saw children like as if they were in a refugee camp, sleeping by the roadside. You think if you have $1 billion or $1 billion and you just engage the service of few people and say these so-called children from this state to another state, I need 1 million of them, I built a state that can accommodate them, and you turn them into, what do you call it? Turn them into good citizens. Put them into school. You can be sure that the world will be a better place. So don't live with that myth. Don't live with that terrible beliefs that money is evil. At least when you don't have money, you will not be attacked. You will not, no. So tell yourself, I'm going to be wealthy. I'm prepared to put the hard work. Get rid of any beliefs that you can question and accept that are nonsense. Number 8 rule is understand that wealth is a consequence, a result of your being, of what you are. Wealth is so it's just like if somebody say the consequences of things. Consequence. Wealth is what you are becoming. What you are becoming, the you every day. You sit down to study, you have a money mentor, you ask questions, you save, you work on things that will make you a better person. Wealth is a consequences of the things you do, So you see, I heard something sometimes says you don't I wrote it here, you don't get given the money by a committee who examine whether life doesn't give you what you deserve. Because by this time I know you deserve $1 billion in your account. You deserve 100 billion naira in your account. Life doesn't give you what you deserve. Life just give you what you are worth. When I say worth, I mean the what you are in life is a consequences is a consequence of what you have become. Is understand that wealth is a consequence, a result of what you are being. There are certain people who will go get a job somewhere. Go and then whatever they are offered, they come, they shout and what have you. But there are some who say, no, I can't stay here because of what they are already. So keep at it. I keep checking every day. $1 billion is a reality. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. You mustn't live here and you are not that. So wealth is a consequence of your everyday. Some people wake up anytime, they read anything. Some people don't even read. And if they have to read, it is something that just feed their pleasure, not things that will stretch their mind to say this can happen, this can happen. So it's important. Rule number 9. Decide what you want money for. Decide what you want money for. This is very important. This can act as a guide, can help you run. If, for instance, I decide that the reason why I want to become a billionaire, the reasons, let me give you top 3 or 4 reasons. One is to make my family very comfortable. I like when I hear that, what's the name? Adenuga, for instance, the Globe chairman, one of the wealthiest in Nigeria, can say this is what we want for the son. I was reading today that Otedola's daughter just graduated from Oxford. She said that's her 4th degree. I remember there was a time he said he needed something. Otedola said he needed something, maybe on an ice cream or something that he likes. He just took a flight from, what do you call it, from Nigeria to Italy just for that sake alone. So if you say the reason is just so your children will not lack anything, maybe while you're growing up, you lack so many things that didn't let you get into where you want to get to. So if you say that's you want to spend money on that, oh, what it costs. Oh, number two, you say, oh, I want to just like you know, you want to build churches, you want to be able to do things for God, for the kingdom of God. Beautiful reason. Number three, you want to get into philanthropy. That schools here and there, this irony school, for instance, and it breaks my heart when children can't afford to, when parents can't afford to pay their children's school fees. So I should be able to tell myself, oh, can I have 10, 20, 30 schools where no fees paid up to the university level? You know. So when you decide what you want to spend money on, why do you want that money? It helps you to really pursue this. You know. The last one for tonight is understand that money beget money. Money gives birth to money. Oh yes, money gives birth to money. That's the reason why the so-called billionaires will wake up today and say, okay, we need $1 billion to do this project to 500 million. Money beget money. And that's the reason why you don't spend all your money. You must have something in reserve. For instance, I have an account that is as old as local, is not no internet banking. I have to get into the banking hall before I get it. So if you say something is eating you and you want that money, it's a very difficult place to go. I have where that is stored. So you must be able to save money. Just like I said, what's your definition of wealth? That you are able to attend to your emergencies. You want to fly out of the country, you just go to that reserve account and pick money, and there you are off. So these are rules of wealth. These are rules of wealth. It's my desire that in the next 1, 2, 3 years, that these few things we're talking about, you are working on them. Tuesdays, we take out time to have conversation into the Word of God. The reason for Economic Summit is, we quote the Peter, we quote what James, we quote what Andrew, we quote what, the patriarchs have done. There are people who have done some significant things in our present day world. The Bill Gates, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk. So it's the reason why I want to talk about those things they are doing. Yes, this is good. Money is good. Well, I don't know. Of course, just like I talked about the definition of wealth to you, I remember what's the name of that man? One wealthiest person in what do you call it? Yes, money is okay. Wanting money is okay. I'm going to be wealthy. I'm prepared to put in the work. Yes. Now I remember that there was a time I did a video on the wealthiest guy in Germany, who was I think what was it, 12 or 14 billion dollars, but and was the number one wealthiest person in Germany. I think I can't remember the number he occupied on the list in the world, but in Germany it was the number one. Now he did a transaction and it was, somebody who is worth $14 billion. He went to look for a loan again, and of course, and he got into a deal and he lost about $2 billion. Few days after, it was announced that he has dropped in the list of the wealthiest in Germany. Do you know? A few days after, he walked into a moving train. He wrote a suicide note and he walked into a moving train and he killed himself. So the definition of wealth of that one must always be in the spotlight. Must always be first in Germany. You know, in his definition, I don't know. So you see, I want to come here every Thursday, steer you up, push you there, just so you shouldn't struggle with life. That when your son or daughter said he wants to do his fourth degree. You don't say, what have you done with the three that you know, you should have the freedom, that you want. Just like we say, what are the things that people want to spend their money on security, on luxury. Once in a while, you should take your family on that yacht and get to see life in another perspective. So it's important. So that's all we're going to be looking at today. I'll be coming your way again next week. We're still going to continue on the rules of wealth. I want to see, I want to be able to push you, I want to be able to talk you into thinking, that you can become that person, because that's the first place. No matter what we say, if you don't see yourself there, if you have a wrong beliefs, you have a wrong myth about money, that it's okay to be poor so that you will not be robbed, so that you, you don't want to be in the spotlight. No. So thank you very much. Is the rules of wealth we discussed today. Next week again, we're going to continue on the rules of wealth, and we're actually looking at thinking wealthy. We're going to be considering something again, because it's important that not only to think wealthy, how do you act, how do you stay wealthy, and how do you grow your wealth. So it's Economic Summit on Thursday, and then we actually look at the rules of wealth. I will see you again next Thursday, God's willing. So please, if you know someone who needs the rules of wealth, make sure you send it to them. Share this video, cut it out. It's free. Make sure somebody is, get to hear the things we say. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the top.